numerology and the associative law of addition. Previously, it was the commutative law of addition, which a little bit of that led into the associative law of addition, but I saved it for a separate video. And so this is numerology and the associative law of addition. So I'll use the same example of the date that I did with the commutative law of addition, which was January 2nd in the year 3456. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And at the end of that, those basic calculations in arithmetic, right? Arithmetic being the science of numbers, and numerology being a pseudoscience of numbers and numerals, really. We are using the pseudoscience of numerology to exercise and practice getting used to different basic components of the science of numbers, arithmetic, adding, subtracting. And so the associative law of addition I went over a little bit, but it basically also doesn't matter how you group the numbers. I did that a little bit, but because the commutative law of addition fits under the umbrella of associative law, I didn't mention associative law in that one, but it's basically like this. So for example, we have the month, day, and the year, January 2nd, 3456. So we can add it in one group, which I did before. The one group, you can go 1 plus 2 in parentheses, right? So parentheses 1 plus 2 parentheses plus 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And so and we did that before. You have the same thing. So the 1 plus 2, of course, is 3. And when you add 3 to 3, 4, 5, 6, you basically have 3, 4, 5, 9, right? It's because now you have 3,459, because that 3 plus 3,456 equals 3,459. Makes sense? That's part of the associative law. The other way that can be done, which was also covered in the commutative law of addition, is you can change the group. So for example, you can have the 1 by itself plus, and then parentheses 2 plus 3, 4, 5, 6 parentheses, right? So if you look at it this way, in the parentheses you have the 2 plus 3, 4, 5, 6. You can just, now you have 3, 4, 5, 8, right? So 2 plus 3,456 becomes 3,458, and then you add that 1 and you have 3,459. So you see, it doesn't matter how you add the group, but we did the parentheses first, right? And so any way that you do that, you can get the same number. And again, in numerology, if we're going to reduce that, right, which the final number comes to 3,459, you can add 3 and 4, which is 7, plus 5, which is 12, plus 9 is 21, and in reducing in numerology, 2 plus 1 is 3. And so if you check the commutative law of addition, as in the previous video, you will see that the commutative law of addition fits neatly under the umbrella of the associative law of addition. So it doesn't matter how you group the numbers. We can do even further if we like. We can, even using the commutative law of how it works with this simply just adding strings of numbers in the associative law, because you can break it up into different groups, because you can have 1 plus 2 as a group, and then 3, 4, 5, 6 as a group, but you can also have the 3, 4, 5, 6 as 35 plus 46, and it won't make a difference, right? So let's look at it this way. Let's have two groups, right? 1 plus 2, right, plus 34 plus 56. So it doesn't matter which one we end. We know that 1 plus 2 is 3, right? Let's hold on to that number 3 for a second. But let's look at 34 plus 56, right? 34 plus 56. We have an 80, 10, it's 90, right? And so 90 plus that 3, we have 93, which again 9 plus 3 is 12, and 1 and 2 is 3. If you look back at the commutative law of addition and the reduction in the pseudoscience of numerology, you see that we always reduce the numbers down to a single digit. So there goes that. Now we can also, for example, change the grouping. We can change the grouping from the 3, 4, 5, 6. We can take 1 plus 34 and 2 plus 56. So if we take 1 plus 34, we have 35, right? And that 35, we can reduce it into a single digit, and 3 and 5 is 8. So let's hold on to that for a second. There's that 8. And then we add the 2 and 5, 6, right? 2 plus 56 is 58. And if we reduce 58, again, we have 5 and 8 is 13. And then we have the 1 and 3 is 4. And if we take that 4 to the 8 that we got from the, remember, 1 plus 34, right, is 35. And that 35 was a 3 and 5 is an 8. Right, and now we have over here 2 plus 56, which is 58, 5 and 8 is 13, 1 and 3 is 4. We have a 4 plus an 8, which equals 12. And again, we have that number again. 1 plus 2 equals 3. So showing the commutative law and the associative law of addition at work there. So it doesn't matter what order, which is the commutative law of addition, that you add them in, and it doesn't matter how you group them. You'll still get the same thing, especially when you're combining the commutative law and the associative law of addition, the science of numbers, arithmetic, with the pseudoscience of numerology. And so there you have some fun playing with that there and learning more about the commutative versus the associative law of addition. So what is the associative law of addition? It just shows that you can group numbers in any way that you want using parentheses, for example, and you'll still get the same sum.